This is me in a coma, suffering from a traumatic brain injury. I have a 50% chance of survival in this moment, and even if I do, the trauma to my brain will likely change the course of my life forever.
This is a story that I've put off making for 14 years, but it's probably the most important video that I've ever had to make.
I've always been a bit of a risk taker. I don't house too many fears. I'm not afraid of heights, not afraid of pain, and I'm willing to do just about anything. You might say that I'm a bit of a thrill seeker. Even now, I come up with some wild ideas, and my wife has to talk me off the ledge. Tells me that it's too dangerous. Worse than that, when I do get hurt, I don't even seek medical help. I just kind of carry on.
Are you gonna go to the hospital?
No, I need to pull on it.
I'm that friend that's always trying to pressure his other friends into doing something crazy. But hey.
What's the fun in life without a bit of risk?
Long before this life-altering moment, my early childhood was littered with accidents that could have left me blind, crippled, and even worse, dead. My parents described me as a kid as being way too daring and basically always getting hurt. It's not entirely my fault though. Like everyone else my age, I grew up watching athletes like Shaun White and Tony Hawk break records, trying tricks that were completely unbelievable.
And that leaves an impression on a kid who, honestly, more than anything, just wants to be like his heroes. I wanted to do something crazy.
And I wasn't alone. I had friends who wanted to do the same. The inspiration that we took from these athletes was enough for us to try things that we were far from capable of completing. But when you're a kid, the consequences just don't exist in your mind. By the time I was 16, my brother's friends and I filled our winters with as much snowboarding as possible.
At the time, I worked at my parents' pizza restaurant. I spent every dime I had on snowboarding. My dream was to go out west. I wanted to snowboard on a real mountain.
But all we could afford as teenagers was the ski hill 3 hours from our house in the middle of Wisconsin. Saturday, February 23, 2010. 16-year-old Isaiah, my two brothers, and a few friends were headed to Wausau, Wisconsin, about a 3-hour drive from our home in Eau Claire for a full day of snowboarding.
This is our first time at this particular ski hill, but we were all stoked out of our minds to be snowboarding all day. It also happened to be like 0 degrees out that day, which is kind of the worst snowboarding conditions ever. Basically, everything was just completely iced over. All the groomed trails were pure ice.
We were headed straight to the hardest route we could find.
And the very last thing that I can remember from that day is looking at everyone in our group and telling them, let's race to the bottom.
The thing about a traumatic brain injury is that some memories will just evaporate from your brain.
A lot of the next few months of my life were like that. Just kind of a thick cloud. Not really sure if what I remember is actually my memory or just something that's projecting to me because people have told me over and over and over. It's really strange. It's like I even have childhood memories that I'm not sure if I actually remember that or if I've just been told it enough times.
After asking our group to race, the next thing that I can say I confidently remember is seeing a friend's face, then a group of faces, all looking at me.
I remember asking a question, and I don't even know who I asked it to. Could have been my mom, a friend, a nurse. I asked them, where am I?
I'm told that I was traveling around 35 to 40 miles per hour on my snowboard, blissfully unaware of what would happen next. I was feeling like Shaun White, beaming with confidence and having the time of my life. The snow was like ice, and my brothers tell me that I caught an edge and shot straight into the woods. Unable to change my direction, I hit a tree hard enough to black out. Everything stopped. I'm told that I was in shock, going in and out of consciousness, screaming from the pain. I'd fractured my skull, broken my jaw, broken my nose, and fractured my temporal bone on the left side of my head. That injury would leave me mostly deaf for the rest of my life. My oldest brother immediately rushed down the hill to get help, while my best friend Luke held my bleeding head in his hands while I would continue to go in and out of consciousness, screaming when I came to. Imagine your best friend dying in your arms, and there's nothing you can do. My brain had suffered severe trauma and I was bleeding, causing it to swell in my skull. Without immediate surgery, my brain was going to suffocate and kill me. I was taken into the chalet, my clothes were cut off me, and the medics told my brother, tell him to be brave and to hold on. This might be the last time you talk to your brother. He needs to hold on. The doctors at the local hospital scanned my brain to see the damage. I'm in a coma now, and time is ticking. My life is on the line. The worst part, they couldn't operate at this hospital. They didn't have the right equipment. I was life flighted to a hospital about an hour's drive away. The doctors told my mom, your son might not make it, but we're gonna do our best. I needed surgery because I had too much bleeding in my brain and it was going to kill me. A group of highly skilled doctors were waiting for me to arrive in Marshfield to immediately open up my skull, and while I was on that flight, a miracle happened. Upon arrival, they scanned my brain to discover something incredible. The bleeding had not only stopped, but so had the swelling in my brain. The doctors told my mother that the scans they took just a half an hour earlier in Wausau looked like they came from a completely different brain. He couldn't even believe his eyes. But the fight wasn't over. I still needed to come out of a coma, and with brain injuries, they basically tell your loved ones, don't expect anything, he could be a completely different person. Terrifying.
Honestly, there's so much more that I could tell you about my time in the hospital. Miracles happening like every single day. Doctors in complete disbelief telling my family that I shouldn't even be alive. But I wasn't out of the woods, pun intended. That's the thing with brain injuries. It's like smashing your computer and then turning it back on and hoping that it just works the same. It doesn't work like that.
I was 16, in the middle of my junior year of high school, learning pre-calculus, but now also relearning how to walk.
It also didn't help that because I was mostly deaf in my left ear at this point, all of my balance was just completely thrown off. A once extremely active teenage boy, now just relearning basic human functions, can't get any school done. I had to drop out of high school.
I used to think that my brain injury was going to be my lifelong crutch. People told me, Isaiah, you're alive because God has a big plan for your life.
It's kind of a lot of pressure for a 16-year-old. I also just don't think I believed it. Besides, everything that people were telling me was things that I couldn't do. Don't do this, don't do that. Now that you have a TBI, you can't do this. Blah, blah, blah. All my dreams out the window. Now just a victim of my circumstances. Screw that.
One of my favorite quotes is, I don't associate with people who blame the world for their problems. I have every reason to be a victim, but God didn't just save my life. He gifted me with an optimistic attitude towards almost everything. People ask me all the time, Isaiah, aren't you afraid to get back on the board? What the heck is the point of life living in fear? I'm not a victim of my circumstances. The only thing that's going to hold me back is me. And I'm sure as heck not going to let that happen.
Yes! Oh my God! Too easy.
Too easy.
599, 1,000.